Hi, hello, and welcome back. We are doing our December wrap up. It has been a good year for reading, it has been a good month for reading, and I can't actually believe this year is done. It just flew by. But yeah, I read about 12 novels this month, and for the most part, it was good. The first book I read was Mistborn The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, and this book was so good. The world building is amazing, the characters are well written, and the story was so gripping, and I just got lost in this world. And my favorite parts are the discussions between all the friends and the camaraderie as this rebellious group plots and plans to basically overthrow the tyrant that is ruling their city, that has ruled for 1,000 years, and he's just called the ruler. And it's like a dystopian world. There is a very big divide between nobility and the impoverished, which is also known as the Scar, which is kind of like the manual laborers, but they're like just a step above slaves, and they've been oppressed, and enough is enough. And there's also a magic system called allomancy. So you swallow metals, and your body has the ability to burn these metals, and they give you different properties depending on which metal you burn. There's 10 different ones. The book describes it way better than I do, but it's so good. And the friendships and the whole world just drew me in. Loved this, enjoyed it, enjoying my Brandon Sanderson journey so far. I don't think I'm just gonna read his Cosme. I'm gonna read whatever this man wrote because yeah, it's great. I enjoyed Elantris. I enjoyed this, and I can't wait to read The Wall of Ascension, which is up next for me. Then I read A Photo Finish by Elsie Silver. It's a romance, and this was great. It is the second book in the Ruby Creek series. It focuses on racehorses, basically a ranch. I don't even want to call it a ranch, it's a race horse training facility. Um, and it focuses on Violet and Cole. Violet is the best friend of the MC in the first book. Cole is the brother of the MC in the first book. He's also kind of like the reverse Ice Queen. He's like an Ice King, if that is a thing. He's very standoffish, very arrogant, very rude at times, and Violet is a jockey for his brother's racehorses, and it's their romance. It's There is some elements of PTSD in here. There is some elements of previous trauma in here. Cole and his brother lost their dad due to a jockey incident. So Violet being a jockey adds to that complication, and it's basically a second chance romance. Very light second chance romance. But yeah, it's a romance. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And just check the trigger warnings a little bit for this one. They're not very hectic, but they can trigger some readers. And yeah, have fun if you read it. Then I read a audiobook Jones, which is a sapphic romance slash detective novel. Your romance is between a lead detective and one of a group of friends whose friend got murdered on a beach holiday. It's not a very complicated romance. I found it a little bit lacking for the romance part of this book, which is the biggest, supposed to be the biggest part of this book, as there was no real chemistry for me between the MCs. It felt very one-dimensional, and the mystery part of this book, that was okay, except the detective does things no detective would do. She shares her thoughts and her suspicions with a love interest, which I don't think any detective would do, so that was a bit far-fetched. Not too far-fetched, but it was a bit far-fetched. And yeah, it felt a little bit flat. Still entertaining, still does what a romance does, still does what a mystery book does. It was okay. I did listen to this on audiobook. It was narrated by the amazing Abby Craden. That one at some points, but yeah, it was okay. Nothing really to write home about it. Then I read The Broken Eye by Brent Weeks, which is the third book in the Lightbringer series. If you're not familiar with this world, the magic system is you can draft light, kind of like the Green Lantern-ish. If you can think it, you can create it. Obviously just in the colors that you can control. You can't draft any color. Some only can do one, some can do multiples, and then there's the Prism, who can do all of them. There is a stopgap. It's not really a stopgap, there's a limit. Most people can only draft until the color collects in their eyes, so the more you draft, the more color goes around your iris, and once it breaks the halo, there's steps that needs to be taken because you become a danger to people. And the Prism, he, she, they can draft indefinitely. And this picks up a few days after book 2. I can't really go into the plot without spoiling too much, but basically this for me was kind of a struggle bus. It feels like Brent Weeks wrote himself, in the ending of 2, he wrote himself into a corner and he struggled to get him out of that corner. One of his main characters that basically carries the story, somebody else, another character, had to take over carry the story part of the book because of reasons, and that fell a little bit flat for me. The first 70% is a lot of info dumpy. Like, you would have a battle scene, and in the middle of the battle scene there would be an info dump, and it spoils the whole pacing. And you would be like, but why? I was having a good time, and now I'm bored. And then you have back to having a good time because the story goes along. It's pacing issues, a lot of pacing issues in the beginning or the first 70 part of this book for me. It might just be a me thing, but I struggled with it. The last 30% was amazing. I enjoyed it. The story just went, and there was a lot of action. Not that I need a lot of action to be entertained, but it just happened to be that part had a lot of action in it. And yeah, I was there for it. I was there for the ride, and it pulled me back in, and it saved the book. So just be aware that if you are like me and don't like big drops of info dumps, you might struggle a little bit with this one. The previous 2 books are amazing. I gave it 5 stars. This one 3 stars, and hopefully he goes back to more what he's known for in book 4. I'm sticking to it. I want to see the series out, and yeah, we'll see how that goes when we get to it. Then I read this amazing book, The Last Hero by Terry Pratchett. As most of you will know by now, I'm reading through all of the Discworld novels. I am reading them in publication order, so we're quite far along now. I would say we're about 70% done. And this one was a joy to read. I loved it. Start to finish, the illustrations in here are amazing. And it focuses on Cohen the Barbarian and his Silver Horde, who is all basically retired barbarians, deciding they have to take back what was stolen from the gods, which is fire. For those that don't know, it's not a spoiler. It's Greek mythology. And they're going to give it back. And so they're going to, the way they went about it is going to cause the end of the world because of course it is. And in step the wizards from Unseen University with the help of some of the City Watch, mostly Carrot, who is amazing and one of my favorite characters. Anyways, this book, loved it, pure joy. Here for the ride. It's very short, it's like 150 pages, and you can enjoy some great art and just be there for the funniness that is old people, that is convinced they're doing the right thing. And yeah, just go with it and enjoy it, because this was good. This is very, very good. Then I read the second book in the Vampire Academy series, Frostbite. This is my least favorite of the series. It's written by Richelle Mead. And if you're not familiar with the world, there's 3 kinds of vampires. The Moroi, they can do elemental magic, and they eat food. They also drink blood, but they don't kill. Then you have the Dampires or the Dampiers, however you would like to pronounce it. They're basically the guardians of the Moroi. They're half human, half vampire. They don't drink any blood. They eat food. They're stronger and they're faster than humans. Then you got the Strogoi, bad vampires. Can't go in the sun. They kill to eat. They only eat, drink blood. And their aim is to get Moroi because Moroi blood's the best because of the magical element. And yeah, so basically at the start of this book, we're no longer at the academy. Well, for this book, we're not at the academy. We're going on a little holiday. All the royalty kids and their friends are going to a resort where most of the guardians are to protect them because there was a big Strogoi attack on the Moroi in the beginning of the book. It's the very first pages. It's not spoiler. And yeah, teenagers being teenagers decides to do things and they get in over their heads, and that's basically what the book is about. As usual, it focuses on Rose, who is a Dampire or Dampier, and her best friend Lisa, who is a Moroi, royalty Moroi, and them navigating their different relationships while dealing with their world changing. It's basically what it's about. It falls a little bit flat because it's the stepping stone for the rest of the series. It sets the tone. It does tackle some questions, especially for the Dampiers, as you go to school until you're 18 and then you become a guardian. And some Moroi feel like this should be earlier, from 16, because the Dampires are getting less. And at the same time, they're frowning on female Dampires that don't want to be guardians and want to raise families instead. Also, it probably should note that in this world, Dampires Dampires who marry Dampires can't have children, and the only way to get Dampires if they have children with Moroi. But most Moroi only want to marry Moroi, so Dampires kind of like they have their little fling. They get pregnant and then the men go and marry someone else. So there's like it's a very touchy subject in this world. Anyways, yeah, it's okay as a building block. It's okay. It's just not very gripping. The story is very predictable. As most, well, the story is predictable. It is very YA, I will say that again, so if that's not your thing, this will probably not work for you. But I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. And yeah, looking forward to book 3, where things really kick off. Then I read A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, and I loved this. Loved this. It is super entertaining. It's super easy to read. It hits the ground running. And it is part of a trilogy. This is book 2. The first one is A Darker Shade of Magic, which can be read as a standalone. So this one does a lot of groundwork to set up book 3 in the series. There's a magic tournament in this, elemental tournament, and there's some character development. I know I've heard that some people feel there aren't, but for me there was. And yeah, our favorite trio is back. They do things, they make choices, questionable some, good others. If you're not familiar with this world, I probably should have started there, but if you're not familiar with this world, there are many different Londons, and those different Londons represent different worlds, but in like kind of in the same space. So think multiple timelines. Then you have Grey London, which is like our world. There is no magic, which symbolizes that there's almost no joy or life. No color, it's very dull. And one of our main characters are from that world. Then you have Red London, which has magic, so it has life and vibrancy. And our other characters are mostly from Red London. Then you have White London, which is kind of a tyranny world. Whoever can beat the leader, they're in charge. And they are, almost want to say president, but they're basically the ruler of this world. But it's very cutthroat, it's a very bad place to be in. There is also very little life there, as magic is the rule. That's how you rule. It's about power. Then there used to be a Black London, but that world gave over to magic and was consumed by magic, so it got sealed off. And nobody goes there, nobody can go there, nobody can get out of there. There is nobody to get out of because, as I said, everything has been consumed. So that is your world, and then the magic system that uses kind of like elements, as I mentioned, but also there is blood magic and bone magic. I don't know if bone magic is a thing, but you can control bones as well. It's very interesting. It is YA, but it's not young YA for me. There's a slight romance in this. Well, not slight. There is a romance in it, but the romance is not the main focus of the book, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, there's a very cloak and dagger in this book, especially when it comes to the tournament. The tournament itself was very well done. The battles, the fights, it's very good, and I enjoyed it, and I loved reading it, and I just love these characters. So yeah, it was a good read for me. Then I read Maurice and His Educated Rodents, written by Terry Pratchett, which was the next Discworld novel that I read. It's actually kind of in the Discworld, but not part of the Discworld series, as it's like his YA books. The first of his YA books, to my knowledge. And it very focuses on a scam. Maurice, a talking cat, discovered talking rodents. And Maurice, seeing his opportunities, he kind of lures in a boy that can play a flute, and you get the picture. They go to towns, there's a rodent issue, they pay the boy to get rid of the rodents, and voila, your town is clear. So this one focuses on the latest town that the little scam takes place in it, which is Blintz, but everything is not as it seems, and it's fun. I will say this is a bit darker than I expected from a YA novel. Please check your triggers. There is animal death, there is animal cruelty, and yeah, so like I said, a bit darker than you would expect. So if that upsets you, please check the trigger warnings. But for what it is, it was fun, a fun read. A little bit lighter, a little bit more serious, a bit more focused on the story and less tangents. And yeah, I had fun reading it. It was good. Then I read The Love Lie by Monica McKellen, which is a sapphic romance. It's her latest released. It was released early December. Yeah, yes, early December. And it's a fake dating relationship romance. But it never felt fake. The chemistry and the relationship between the MCs is actually quite well written and doesn't feel too cheesy. The characters and the side characters and all of it is so good. The premise is your Sydney, your MC, is a professional tennis player. She's bisexual, and she found her boyfriend cheating on her, and then focused on her career. Got a career-ending injury, went to wallow in her best friend's hotel/inn, and then her best friend tells her, listen, I sold the family business to your ex's to your ex's sister, and she's gonna come here for a couple of months and learn the reins of the ins and outs of the business. And in their meet cute, when the sister actually shows up, the ex also walks in on them, and he just assumes they're dating and they run with it, and that's the premise of the story. He's also a asshole, and they try and get him back. But yeah, the romance part, very good. The story, very good. I read this in 2 days, and it kind of still lingers. You still think about things that happen, which is always a good thing for a romance. And yeah, I had fun. If you read it, I hope you like it. Monica McKellen is an auto-buy author for me, and you're always in good hands and will have a good time. Then I read A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. And this is basically the conclusion to the first 3 books. Just the series is weird like that. It focuses on Rysand and Feyru for first 3 books. Then you have like a little interlude setting up the next part of the series. And then you get Nesta and Cassian, I think. Anyways, so this concludes Feyru and Rysand's part of the series, I think. I assume, because it felt like a conclusion. And it has an epic battle. It has lots of politics. It has a lot of slice of life moments, which I live for. And I enjoyed it. The battle scenes are immense and big in scope. And you kind of just hope your favorites get out on the other side. Yeah, I'm not gonna go much into this. It's a well-known series. It's started as a Beauty and Beast retelling and then morphed into its own thing, because it's no longer Beauty and Beast for me. But yeah, romance is a big part of this, so if that's not your thing, maybe stay clear. And yeah, enjoy the ride if you do read it, because this one, the best in the series for me, and I had loads of fun with it. Then I read One Shot by Lee Child, which is a Jack Reacher novel. If you watched the movie, you will be familiar with it. But yeah, Jack Reacher needs to investigate. Basically, he doesn't come to investigate. He comes because he thinks someone that got away with murder is killing people again. And he comes to bury him. He comes to kill him. And then things aren't as it seems. This was not like the movie at all. So if you watched the movie and didn't want to read the book because you watched it, book can't be that much. It's a lot different. I didn't even finish my sentence. It is a lot different to the movie. There are bigger characters in here that wasn't in the movie. The ending, if you think you know how it ends, no, you don't. This stands on its own. The movie became its own thing, so this was good. This is entertaining. It had me from the beginning. And yeah, glad this one was good, because the previous one sucked. Reacher doing Reacher things. Actually, saying that this has less action in it. For all of the Jack Reachers I've read, there is some action, but a lot less. It's a way more focusing on the mystery thriller part of it, which I was here for. This book was good. I loved it. If you're a Reacher fan and you've been putting this one off because of the movie, please read it. You'll have a good time. Then we ended the month with Jade War by Fonda Lee, and this was hands down the best read of the month for me. I love this. It was so much better than Jade City, and Jade City was already good for me. The family dynamic in this, so if you're not familiar, it's kind of like the Chinese mafia and their day-to-day dealings, trying to run their business but also protect their country, and dealing with other clans moving in on their territory. And basically it's just you with this family through all their ups and downs, and it's so well written. The characters are so well written. You kind of want people to pay for their wrongdoings against this family, but you also know not all of the family might come out on the other side. This one was very emotional at points. Very, very emotional. There is a soft magic system in this where Jade allows people to use its properties to do supernatural things. Let's go with supernatural things. And it's really good. So whether it's enhancing your body, like making your skin like steel so that taking a punch doesn't hurt as much, or making you a bit faster or a bit lighter or a bit more powerful, or just forcing out like a force field. It's very soft magic system. It's not very complicated, and it actually features, there's not a lot of battle scenes in here. It's really just focusing on the family and their turmoils, and I'm here for it. And it's good. It's so good, and I loved it. And yeah, I can't wait to see how it ends. Hoping my favorites make it out. A little bit hesitant to get into that last book because you don't know. Nobody is safe. And yeah, Jade War, hands down, best read, loved it. Awesome way to end the year on. And that is it. That's the books I read. Had fun. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments what you've been reading, or if you read these books, what you thought about them. And Happy New Year. May 2025 have amazing reads in store for everybody. There's some things I've planned for the channel. We'll see how far we get into that. But thank you for watching. Have a good one. And yeah, Vleit, my story is uit. Ciao.